You mentioned earlier, you were talking about the Trayvon Martin case, I think. That's a case of a civilian who ended up using a firearm. He was lawfully carrying a firearm. Do you think that that law, the stand your ground law, is there anything wrong with that? Or in that case, you know, that was not a good outcome, obviously.
I'm not so sure about that. And I think you should reconsider your conclusion. I believe that as likely a scenario that exists could be the following. A neighborhood watch guy was watching his neighborhood. There had been suspicious and criminal activity that they were alerted to over the period of time in that time. I don't believe there was a racial or racist component to this at all. I'm convinced of that conclusively. It was the 911 operator that inquired to identify the suspect. Perfectly legitimate and a perfectly legitimate response. None of us will ever know, unless there's evidence that we're not aware of yet, that a confrontation escalated between Zimmerman and Martin. I think all the evidence is that Martin was winning this confrontation and escalating the violence to the point of bloody skulls and pummeled faces. If you carry a gun, this isn't presumption, this isn't a guess, this is statistical. If you are armed and the violence or assault you are being subjected to escalates to what you determine is life-threatening, that perpetrator of that escalating force will get your gun and kill you with it. You need to stop that escalating violence. I believe that's what happened. So I'm not so sure it was a bad outcome. Overall, would I rather it never happened? Yeah, sure. I wish the people didn't drive off the bridge of the Bronx yesterday, too, et cetera, et cetera. Life is full of trying, challenging, threatening experiences. From all the evidence I've seen, I believe that George Zimmerman was convinced that Martin was going to get that gun and kill him with it. If you can do this to a guy's skull to break the skull open, he's trying to kill you. And if he gets that gun, he's going to kill you.
What do you mean is a good outcome?
A good outcome to this?
No, what you're saying that maybe it was a good outcome.
Oh,
I mean, somebody's dead, right? I mean,
George Zimmerman saved his life from a violent assault. Now, I'm not making a judgment of what caused the confrontation, but that's not of consideration, I believe. I believe that once a human being is convinced his life is in danger, he's got to stop that force. You know what I mean? And again, isn't it convenient all the people get to weigh in on this who have never been in a violent confrontation and they just watch TV and all they hear is Al Not So Sharpton with his racism and all these allegations of George Zimmerman, bad guy, Trey Martin, sweetheart, ballerina. Come on. The reporting has been vulgar, irresponsible, and I believe criminal. A criminal abuse of First Amendment rights. And I believe somebody at ABC and whatever the other network intentionally edited information to paint a racist crime. I'd love to see some kind of accountability there.